Welcome back, SEC, this morning, and it was all Gamecocks. Lower Sellers having some success early, 31-6, the largest road win under Shane Beamer. Defensively, they were incredible. 5 sacks. They got 10 of them so far on the season, and that's not 1, that's not 2, but that is 3 straight wins against Kentucky. More importantly, Shane Beamer in his post-game press conference just wanted to dunk on all the haters. Take a listen.
I got up early this morning and went for a run like I always do on game day. And I came in, I'm like, I'm going to watch SEC Network a little bit. There's somebody on SEC Network. I love you, Chris Doering. CD's my guy, but he's talking about how I think the words he used was our offensive line was terrible last week. They weren't. Did they do some good things? Yeah. If you take some of the sacks out of it, we ran for over 200 yards last week, and we're not a terrible defensive line. So just stuff like that.
All right, Coach, hold on now. I saw the disappointment on your face, but everybody showed the press conference. You did a good job of putting your good face on, and then after that, you walked away disappointed. Did you? I guess the problem for me is that I hold you guys at a high level of expectation.
Look at him. Just apologize to the man.
I did already. I texted him, and I told him I was wrong. Coach, did I not do that immediately after the game? You're still on the sideline, and I texted you.
You absolutely did, and we deserved it. I mean, I think you said it. We didn't play great against Old Dominion, and I used you as an example, CD, just in the sense that I didn't want there to be this perception that I'm just like I'm on my phone looking at what people say about me, but I was trying to make the point that it's out there. And I was watching SEC Network on Saturday morning and saw that as well. So it was friendly fire, but I got great respect for you and love what you guys do.
Likewise, man, and I have great respect for you. And I think the thing that maybe is most impressive to me is, like, with all of this negativity out there after the game, people talking about this, how do you convince a group of young players, particularly within that offensive line, that they're not as bad as everybody's telling them they are?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One, I think week ones in college football, I think there's just like so much overreaction because it's so new. You spend all building team A up or tearing team B down, that they're not going to be very good. And then after one game, it's like, okay, well, this team's going to be a playoff team and this team's terrible. And I think because you don't have preseason games and scrimmages and all that, so new. So for us, it was, look, guys, and we said it after the game in our own locker room after Old Dominion. Look, we have a high standard, and I didn't have to say anything our players did, but we have a high standard. We expect better than this. But at the same time, give credit to Old Dominion. And 2, you look at the positives from the Old Dominion game, and we played really, really good defense outside of 2 plays, and those 2 plays were bust by us defensively. And then offensively, we did enough to win. We did run the ball yard-wise, average per carry, whatever. It wasn't great against Old Dominion, but we did have a lot of efficient runs. And we started a redshirt freshman quarterback, and we started 3 true freshmen on offense against Old Dominion. So for me, it was really just, showing our guys we're going to continue to get better. We did some good things against Old Dominion. Wasn't good enough? No, but the key for us is we just got to go right back to work and get better. And that's what we did. And we talked a lot about, and I said it post game, there's perception and there's reality. And there was a perception about us last week where people just look at the score and say, well, they beat Old Dominion by 4. And that wasn't necessarily reality. And it's going to be no different this week. I mean, it's right back to work and being able to handle success.
You had that success. I think every coach goes into it, I would think, of thinking what it could positively happen and what negatively could happen. But what ultimately surprised you during the course of that game that you were able to do that you didn't think, hey, maybe this is coming easy for us?
Good question. We were very confident going into Saturday. I'll say that. And, I felt like we had a really good plan in all 3 areas. And for us, that was, we knew we had to control Walker, their defensive lineman, and he's fantastic. And for the most part, we did. He disrupted us in the passing game some, but statistically, we did a great job against him. We knew we needed the kickoff was going to be a huge play in this game because of Barryon Brown back there. He's got 4 career touchdown returns, and I think he returned it 4 times on Saturday, and for an average of 18 yards. So our kickoff coverage and then our punt team as well. We put our defense in some really good field position wise. And then, just being able to capitalize on our opportunities. That was the other key, that when we get an opportunity, we wanted to confuse Vandegrift and give him different looks. And I thought our defense did a great job of disguising coverages and making him uncomfortable. Certainly our entire front seven did. And he threw some balls up that we were able to capitalize on. So we gave our guys 3 keys to the game. We nailed all 3. And then surprise-wise, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I didn't maybe necessarily think that we were going to have 5 sacks and 11 tackles for loss and dominate up front as well as we did. But I felt really, 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 really confident about our defensive line, our front seven versus their offensive line. And that was the story of the game.
I would say that the most fun thing for me, turning on the tape and watching the attacking nature of your defense, man, the physicality of those guys, the way that they all rally to the football, just everybody playing their assignment. A lot of it, though, with the attention you talked about up front between Kennard and Stewart, those 2 guys are absolute game wreckers, man. Tell me what you've seen from those guys and the unit as a whole.
Yeah, really pleased with them. If you think back, it's a few things, Chris. If you think back to the end of last season, we were playing really good defense down the stretch last year. And, Kentucky last year, we held them to 14 points. Clemson in the last game, Clemson did not score an offensive touchdown against us last year. They kicked 3 field goals and they returned a fumble for a touchdown. So for us, it was building on the way we finished last season. Clayton White and our entire defensive staff returned. And then there's just so many players. Yeah, Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart are new. But you think about all the guys that we returned that have been here for a long time, and it's year 4 in this system. TJ Sanders, Tonka Hemingway, Boogie Huntley, Debo Williams, and Bam Martin Scott at linebacker. 4 of our 5 starters in the secondary returned. So it's just so much more familiarity with the defense because it is year 4. It's a bunch of veteran guys that have played a lot of football. And then we've added some really talented players to the group, to say the least. Kyle and Dylan pass rushing on the edge. Some of our transfer linebackers we brought in. So it's a defense that was, in my mind, playing good football down the stretch. That's a year older. And then we've added depth and athleticism at every single position on the defense. So they've been fantastic. We've got to continue to lean on them. We've got to be better on defense as well. I mean, Kentucky, I think they ran the ball a lot on Saturday, but they still ran yards per carry. It wasn't a lot, but they still ran for about 190 yards, I think, against us the other day. So we've got to continue to get better. And we played a lot of new players on Saturday as well against Kentucky. So those guys will continue to get better, and we'll continue to add to that depth on defense.
And now College Game Day comes to town against LSU down in Columbia. How did you find out that you guys were selected?
I'm usually the last to find out everything, and apparently now my wife finds out stuff before I do. So we got on the plane Saturday night coming back from Lexington, and my wife said to me, I think College Game Day is coming this week. And I'm like, huh? And I said, you think or And she's like, well, no, I'm pretty sure. I talked to so-and-so that talked to so-and-so, and they said they're coming. And I don't doubt my wife, so I figured she had information as well. And then right before we landed, I was on my phone and I was actually looking for college football scores as we were getting ready to land. And all of a sudden I got service back and popped up that College Game Day was headed to Columbia. So really, really cool. It'll be a great showcase for our campus, our fans, Williams-Brice Stadium, City of Columbia, the state of South Carolina. It'll be awesome. And kudos to our players for putting in the work that they're coming here this week. And now the key for us is obviously going to be to have a great week of preparation and go perform well on Saturday.
Coach, you don't doubt your wife, and you're intimidated by your kids. I know they've been the motivating factor in years past. What was the pregame message from the kids this week?
Don't lose. It was pretty short and sweet as well. I think the last thing my son told me before we left the hotel is, Dad, if it's going bad out there today, just think about being at the beach, I think is what he told me.
That is fantastic. I mean, we talk about Monday morning therapy when your son just being like, Dad, just think about the beach days. That's fantastic. I saw you tweet, and I appreciate it earlier promoting this thing. Goonies 2. There's a rumor that it's going to come out. Are you all in on this, or you kind of are the original was so good you don't want them to touch it?
No, I'd be all in on it. Oh my God. I mean, I love it. My wife and I went out to Oregon about 8 years ago, and with my parents, we were in Portland for an event my dad was at, and I made sure to rent a car, and we drove out to Cannon Beach so I could see where a lot of it was filmed. So huge Goonies fan, and would absolutely love it. And it's cool too, because now I loved it growing up. Huge fan, watch it anytime it's on television. But now my son, he's gotten into it as well, and loves it also. So I think it would be very cool to be able to go and see a movie like that I watched growing up that he's into as well. So I'm all in.
That happened with me and my son with some of the Star Wars, the newer Star Wars stuff's coming back to it. Your kids, are you a Star Wars guy? Your son get into Star Wars at all?
I am. He's not. I was big into it growing up, and still, I say into it. I'm more into Goonies.
Yeah.
My son, but you're exactly right. It happened with Top Gun.
Yeah.
That was big when I was growing up, and then the new one came out. My son was into it. It happened this summer with Twister. Twister. I mean, I was a little bit older when that one came out, but my son loved it. And then they had the remake that came out this summer. So I've been to, I think, one movie with my family in about the last 6 years, but we did go to Twister this summer before practice started.
Did that live up to it? Because I'm always I was like Top Gun and the sequel that lived up to the hype. I was glad. Did Twister actually live up? I mean, did it do it the proper justice?
I liked it. I wouldn't say I walked out of there saying, "Oh my God, I loved it," but I liked it. I think just the technology and the technology is better than what it was when the first one came out as well. So it certainly lived up to it for sure. So I enjoyed it, and I know the last time I saw you guys was when I was in Dallas, and we were talking. I was in the back of a van, and I think you guys were getting ready for your all joint Bahamas trip. So the expectations as well.
Yeah. Physically, we've survived that trip. Mentally, spiritually, and financially, we have not.
Still battling back. But hey, Coach, real quick, all seriousness, I want to go back to Lauren. Show that video of Coach and his son, because we're talking about being able to connect with our kids and some of the movies that we enjoyed and the remakes and stuff. But like, how cool is it for you to get to? Your kids are at the perfect age where they can appreciate the things that they get to do, and watching you, have wins like this. One of my biggest things that I lament is my kids weren't old enough when I was still playing in the NFL for them to enjoy, kind of that opportunity and seeing their dad do something cool. Like, what is it like for you to experience and share a great moment like this win over Kentucky with your son?
Yeah, it's you can't put it into words. It's amazing. I'm very blessed that I'm in a profession where I'm able to include my children. We had practice last night. My parents are at practice along with the other coaches' kids and their families. So, I'm very fortunate. There's a lot of sacrifices that I make because of the hours that this job, entails, and the days on the road that you're recruiting. But it makes it all worthwhile when you're able to have days like that. And especially now, because I've got, 2 daughters in high school and my son's in 5th grade. And when you lose a football game and when things aren't going well, as they get older, it's harder to go to school on Monday because they hear criticism. And so when you have a day like that, it's not just me that hears the criticism, they're dealing with it. And I'm even more insulated because I'm in this building all day and don't really hear it. They're the ones that are out and about. So to see the smiles on their faces, hugging my son there after the game, but my wife and my 2 daughters there on the sidelines right there next to him when he came out on the field is cool. And then, just to have them in the locker room and celebrate, and then for my son to be able to say to me, "Hey, can I ride the bus with you to the airport?" and being able to sit on the bus with the players, it's really, really cool and something that, I cherish, and hopefully we can have, not hopefully, we will have many more days like that, going forward. And very blessed to have a great support group around me.
Can't wait to see what Chris Doering has to say on Friday night before your jog over on Saturday morning. All positive stuff. Coach, we appreciate the time as always, man.
Thank you, guys. Keep up the great work and go Gamecocks.
There it is. Shane Beamer joining us here on SEC This Morning. Let's